Welcome back to the deep dive. When we talk about men's health longevity, the advice usually follows a very familiar pattern.
It's always restrictive, isn't it?
Exactly. It's avoid this, cut out that, exercise until you ache. It just feels like the prescription for a long life is basically a prescription for less fun.
That's the classic narrative, for sure. That wellness is framed as this constant struggle, all about saying no.
But what if? What if some of the most significant research out there on prostate cancer prevention, we're talking the second most common cancer in men, suggests the complete opposite?
Right.
What if the key to cutting your risk is something you're actually encouraged to do more of?
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack that specific finding. We're talking about massive long-term research that translates into, frankly, a pretty enjoyable health plan.
And just to be clear, we are not talking about some small online survey here.
No, not at all. We are going deep into the data from the Harvard Health Professionals follow-up study. This is a huge, respected study. It tracked nearly 32,000 men.
For how long?
For 18 years. So when we talk about this 21-a-month prescription, we are talking about really robust peer-reviewed science.
Okay, let's unpack that and get straight to the numbers. You've got almost 32,000 guys, 18 years of data. What is the benchmark? What's the number that researchers landed on?
The finding gave a startlingly clear target: the men who reported achieving 21 or more ejaculations per month.
21. Okay, that's the number.
That's the number. They showed an approximately 20% lower risk of developing prostate cancer.
Wow. 20% is not a small number, especially for a cancer this common. But compared to who? What's the low-frequency group they're measuring against?
And that comparison is everything, because it really shows the difference. They compared that 21-plus group against men who ejaculated only 4 to 7 times a month. Okay,
so not zero, but a much lower frequency.
Exactly. So we're seeing the benefit of going from moderately infrequent all the way up to highly frequent. That 20% protection is really tied to maximizing the frequency.
Now, a skeptic might say, okay, that's probably just driven by data from young guys in their 20s. Did this benefit actually hold up across the different age groups they looked at?
It did, and they were very careful about that. The protective effect was consistent in men aged 20 to 29 and in men aged 40 to 49.
So it's not just a phase?
Not at all. It suggests it's a benefit that persists throughout adulthood. It's really about maintaining the habit.
And we know prostate cancer isn't just one thing. There are slow-growing types and really aggressive types. Did this 20% risk reduction apply to all of them?
That's a really important distinction. The data show the most significant reduction in risk was for low-grade or the slower-growing tumors.
Okay.
So it's still a huge benefit. It might mean avoiding invasive treatment, but it's not, a magic shield against those rare, really aggressive forms.
And for this advice to be truly practical, we have to talk about the method. Did it matter how a man reached that frequency? Was there a difference between, say, sex with a partner and masturbation?
Absolutely none. The study was very clear on this. The protective effect was the same.
That's a crucial detail.
It is, because it really reinforces the idea that the benefit seems to be purely mechanical, purely physiological. It's about the physical act, not the social context.
All right, this is where we need to put on our critical thinking caps. This is an observational study. A huge one, yes, but it's still showing a correlation, not necessarily causation.
That's the right pushback. Always.
I mean, couldn't it just be that men who are active 21 times a month are just healthier in general? They eat better, they exercise, they have less stress.
A classic confounding variable problem. And the researchers, they did their best to control for that. They adjusted for things like BMI, diet, smoking, alcohol intake.
And the link still held up.
It did. It remains statistically significant. But you're right, you can't account for absolutely everything. A man with that kind of frequency might just have better cardiovascular health to begin with.
Right. So his high frequency and his low cancer risk could both stem from some other underlying health factor we're not seeing.
It's possible. But the strongest argument for causation really comes from the biological plausibility. The why behind it is so compelling.
The actual mechanisms.
Exactly. And that's why we need to get into the science of it. The fact that the benefit is mechanical and that the method doesn't matter, it really points away from general lifestyle and toward a specific process happening inside the prostate. So, since that link is so strong, let's talk about those two main biological theories for why this works. We've established the what, now it's time for the why.
Okay, let's start with the one you just called mechanical, the prostate stagnation hypothesis. Walk us through that. What's going on physically?
So if you think of the prostate gland as a small, complex factory, Its main job is to produce fluid.
Okay.
And that fluid is a whole cocktail of different compounds, enzymes, chemicals, metabolites. But some of these, if they just sit there for too long, they can degrade. They can become, let's say, slightly toxic.
So the fluid itself can kind of go bad.
In a way, yes. If those fluids, along with any potential environmental carcinogens the body has processed, are allowed to just sit there, to stagnate inside the ducts of the gland.
They have more time to do damage.
Precisely. They have more time to interact with the gland's cellular lining, and that can increase the risk of DNA damage, which is really the first step toward a tumor. So frequent ejaculation just acts as a flush.
It's like routine plumbing maintenance.
That's a perfect analogy. You're just clearing out the pipes before any harmful buildup can cause a problem.
I like that. It's simple, it's mechanical. But the second hypothesis is totally different. It connects this to the whole body through the stress reduction hypothesis.
Right. This is where urology meets neurology. We know that orgasm and ejaculation are a powerful biological mechanism for releasing tension.
Sure.
It directly regulates the body's central stress response system. Afterwards, you get a flood of calming hormones like prolactin and a major decrease in your fight or flight nervous system activity.
So if your body is doing that regularly, your overall baseline level of stress should go down. How does that connect to cancer?
Well, we know that chronic, unmanaged stress leads to low-grade systemic inflammation. The body is just simmering with stress hormones like cortisol.
Right.
And when your body is constantly inflamed, your immune system, the system that's supposed to find and kill rogue cancer cells, it just becomes less efficient. You're basically creating a more favorable environment for cancer to get a foothold and grow.
So the argument here is that frequent ejaculation is like a physiological relief valve. It turns down the dial on stress and inflammation, making the whole body, including the prostate, a less hospitable place for cancer.
Exactly right. It's a two-pronged attack. You're mechanically flushing out local toxins, and you're systematically calming down global inflammation. Both theories really support the same conclusion. More frequency equals less risk.
Okay, so we have strong data, we have plausible biology. Let's make this actionable. Let's treat this like a real prescription. For someone listening right now, how should they approach this number, 21?
The first thing is to see it as an optimal zone, a target, not some kind of punitive pass-fail test.
Right. Don't get stressed out about hitting the number, because that would defeat the purpose.
Exactly. And we have to stress the dose-response relationship. If you're currently in that 4 to 7 range, just moving up to 8 or 12 times a month is a real, measurable health improvement. The benefit scales up.
I think we need to be realistic, though.
Yeah.
I mean, 21 times a month is almost every day, every other day. For busy people with jobs, kids, life, that can sound like a lot, even if it is enjoyable.
It's about reframing it. It's about integration, not obligation. When you understand the benefit is real, you can give yourself permission to prioritize it. You know, like you prioritize going to the gym or brushing your teeth.
You said the method doesn't matter, which makes consistency a lot more achievable for everybody.
A lot more achievable. And that consistency is key, which leads us straight to that use it or lose it's principle. This becomes really critical as men get older, even separate from the cancer risk.
Okay, explain that. What does use it or lose it mean physically here?
So beyond flushing out the gland, regularity is crucial for tissue health. Every erection, whether it's spontaneous or induced, brings a rush of highly oxygenated blood into the penile and prostate tissue.
So like a workout for the tissue itself.
It is. That circulation prevents something called fibrosis, which is basically scarring or hardening of the tissue. So by staying active, you are literally preserving the physical health and elasticity of the entire system. Now, before everyone just runs off with the 21-a-month goal, we have to inject a serious dose of reality here. We have to cover the essential safety warnings that could completely wipe out all the benefits we just talked about.
Absolutely. Safety first. So if increasing your frequency means you might have new partners, the message is unequivocal. You must use protection.
Non-negotiable. The sources are so clear. The cancer risk reduction you get from high frequency is completely negated if you contract a sexually transmitted infection.
Which ones are the biggest threats here?
Specifically bacterial STIs, like gonorrhea or chlamydia. They can cause chronic inflammation of the prostate, a condition called prostatitis. And that chronic inflammation is, itself, a major risk factor for cancer.
So you'd be trading one risk for another, bigger one.
You'd be flushing the gland with one hand and pouring a powerful inflammatory agent into it with the other. It makes no sense. So basic sexual health is paramount.
And the next critical medical point, high frequency reduces risk, It does not grant you immunity. People cannot confuse this activity with being invincible.
Absolutely not. You do not get to skip your screenings. Standard PSA checks still need to start at age 50.
Or 45 if you have other risk factors like a family history.
Right. And for anyone who doesn't know, PSA is prostate-specific antigen. It's a simple blood test that checks for markers of prostate trouble, including cancer. This advice doesn't replace that, it complements it.
Final safety point.
Yeah.
You have to listen to your body.
Please. If increasing your frequency leads to any new or sudden pain or any discomfort, or especially if you see blood in the semen.
Which has a medical name, right?
Hematospermia, yes. If any of that happens, you stop immediately and you see a urologist. This is about health, not about pushing through pain or ignoring your body's warning signs.
So when you step back, what does this all mean for how we think about men's health? For so long, the wisdom was always about denial. Eat less of this, drink less of that.
Right.
This research is so different. It offers this uniquely positive prescription, something enjoyable that you're actually encouraged to do more of. That's a huge psychological shift.
And I think the most powerful part of it is the accessibility. I mean, this is a truly free preventative. It doesn't matter what your income is or where you live.
You don't need a special diet or expensive supplements.
Exactly. It democratizes this specific aspect of healthcare. And the fact that the method is irrelevant, that just removes any barrier. You don't need a partner to take proactive care of your prostate. You just need to prioritize it.
It really does change the conversation, doesn't it?
It does. By framing a pleasurable activity as a health requirement, you might just make men more open to talking about and engaging with their urological health in general. It could help remove some of the stigma and fear.
Which leaves you, the listener, with a final thought to chew on. If your health and longevity can sometimes be chased through pleasure instead of just restriction, how does that change your whole outlook on well-being?
And are you more likely to hit your health goals when the medicine is something you actually look forward to taking, something to mull over as you aim for that optimal zone? We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.